Recently, I got through beating the Black Ops 6 campaign, and I do have some thoughts, as well as like some thoughts with the multiplayer. Firstly, with the multiplayer, I really felt like having the Omni movement personally, it didn't really feel like it was needed. It's like one of them features where it's like it's cool, it's a cool thing to see in marketing, but it's something you're never really gonna use. You almost never use in the game. Like, I feel like I wasn't using it that much in the matches. The maps themselves, I do feel like the maps were pretty good. There may have been a few maps that had like cursed spawn points. Nuketown, I'm looking at you. There was this one where you're in this close quarters hotel room that kind of felt like Shipment in a way, weirdly enough. It's pretty fun, very enjoyable. It even feels rewarding, like grinding out to unlock different parts for your guns or to have access to different loadouts, different weapons, different skins, you name it, this, that, and the third. But moving on to the campaign, I thoroughly enjoyed it. Like, there was a lot I liked about it, except the ending. The ending was kind of like a letdown reveal where they hype up that there's this mystery person who is behind all this stuff going on with the Pantheon. I've seen some people run with the idea that it could be Case, the character who you played as, which could very well make sense because after you were exposed to that virus, and considering the fact you had voices in your head telling you that the Cradle was using you for some type of experiment, like you were pretty much another experiment on. This is probably the second Black Ops game in a row where it involves you playing somebody who is some type of a guinea pig in a laboratory, which is very trippy when they get into that type of stuff. It does offer different cool ways you could approach different missions, even as early in the first mission where you get to, if you want to, be completely stealthy, or if you want to go in guns blazing. But there will be certain points in the missions where it does go all out guns blazing and you can't get in and out stealthily. The story was pretty enjoyable, kind of continued where it left off with Adler and the Cold War and that sort of thing. But my biggest gripe about this is, and you know, by a certain point in the game you kind of really put it in the back of your mind, but it has certain Call of Duty Warzone elements where it involves you picking up armor, cash, and guns just, you know, littered around like certain arenas. There's this one open world section you get to play in that is pretty cool. I gotta say, like, it's very fun, it's enjoyable. It's nothing like the shit that they were trying to do in Modern Warfare 3, let me tell you that right now. And they were trying to do that with every mission. They were doing this with just one mission, and it felt pretty cool. Like, you could, you know, explore these different optional objectives and complete them, and by doing them you end up unlocking different rewards. You can end up essentially using kill streaks in a single player campaign, which is pretty amazing. You couldn't really do it that much with the missions. There's certain missions that kind of restricted it, but when you were allowed to do it, it was pretty fun and enjoyable to use. Any money you collect along the campaign goes back into your hideout, which you can use to, you know, upgrade your arsenal, get more skills, unlock different perks. It's just those small Warzone elements. It kind of has me concerned for Black Ops 7 when it comes out this year, which then again, like, based on how 6 ends, you would wonder, is this gonna, you know, be that gateway connection? And with Black Ops 7, we know it's supposed to be continuing the storyline of 2 with the Numbers and Mason, and there's a lot of fan theories about it, one of which being that Menendez isn't back per se, but they're kind of using some type of psychological warfare. That's the name of the game, it seems like, that they're going into, because if you remember, Black Ops 3 was all about psychological warfare, but we act like that game don't exist because it was too far out there in the futuristic spectrum. Not even Detective Stabler could really save that game. I mean, he did a solid job as one of the villains in that game, don't get me wrong. And it does seem like that after Black Ops 6, they're kind of continuing the storyline of the Pantheon, what their end game is, how much of a threat they are. And if you think about it, this game takes place in the 90s, and we all know what took place 10 years later in 2001. And I don't know if they would try to go that far and really be gung-ho about that with Black Ops 7, considering that they almost did that same thing with Modern Warfare 3, where they were kind of having this different no Russian mission but on a plane, and people was kind of calling it 9/11 the Russian version, or 9/11 no Russian, in a sense. I remember people having them conversations way back when. It kind of makes me wonder, would they use the Pantheon to say, oh, they're the puppet masters behind the 9/11 attacks? It wasn't the terrorists, or they were terrorists that were actually sleeper agents for the Pantheon or whatever. Like, I don't know if they would ever go down that rabbit hole or do that, but it would be interesting to see if they actually tried that. Not only that, but will this Pantheon story connect all of it? Will it connect to the numbers? Will it connect to the Mason storyline? Will it connect to Woods, Adler, everything? Even Menendez is yet to be seen. Because one thing I would be wondering about, would they end up doing or having some type of flashback missions where you could have certain missions where you're playing as certain characters at like certain points in time in like the early 2000s, kind of similar to how they did it with Black Ops 2, where you had these flashback missions playing as Woods, or I think it was Woods, either Woods or Mason or both of them in the 80s, and kind of going back into the present to kind of, you know, confront Menendez. Now, even though this wouldn't have really made much sense, imagine if Mason was the guy behind the Pantheon. Imagine that. Imagine if they were to bring back Alex Mason for a Black Ops 7, you know, assuming that what I'm saying is the narrative at large for Black Ops 7. Even though it would be one hell of a retcon, they could go with they could try to tell the story of Alex Mason faking his death in Panama, kind of similar to how people thought that Woods was killed. I believe it was in the first Black Ops game. If it was similar to that, it would be a lot of questions left unanswered. How would Woods feel about Alex doing that? He probably want to put one between his eyes for that, probably David. And how would Cortez Diaz, you know, have any involvement with the Pantheon? It's all yet to be seen. Would the Pantheon be something that end up becoming Cortez Diaz? You never really know. And I'm hoping this is the case, because if this storyline has nothing to do with Black Ops 7, then we're not going to get a conclusion to this saga till Black Ops 8. And I hope that's not the case. And there have been different reports about Black Ops 7's mission structure. People compared it to Modern Warfare 3, which a lot of people are kind of like frowning on that. People are already kind of not liking the reveal as a whole. But hopefully, at best, it's something like that one desert mission. I wouldn't mind if I wouldn't say the whole campaign's like that. I want something more traditional, because I think that at a certain point, that style of gameplay could overstay its welcome, even though you don't really have to do it. You could still just bypass everything, go straight to the narrative at hand. You're not going to be shoehorned into doing all those optional things. As long as they do it exactly how they did it here, I don't think I'm gonna have a problem with it. But with that being said, y'all let me know what you think about this in the comments below. Till next time, I'll see y'all in the next video. Peace.